With your end-of-day report, he is Paul Dottino. I am John Schmeelk. Giants getting ready for their Week 4 matchup in a legacy game, wearing the throwback uniforms from the 80s and 90s, taking on the Chicago Bears Sunday at 1 o'clock. And, Paul, a big focus is going to be stopping the run. After a rough week last week on Monday night against Dallas, Khalil Herbert comes to town, more than 150 rushing yards for him in week number 3. Dexter Lawrence knows improvement there is key.
They like running the ball a lot. Even on third and longs, they like running the ball. So, it's just a game that we just got to bring our lunch pails and, just go to work, put our hard hats on and, stop the run. That's just going to have to be the ultimate goal.
And, Paul, of course, without Leonard Williams in the lineup last week, that's a guy we're keeping an eye on in practice this week to see if he can go with that knee injury.
You would have to want him to be back in the lineup if you're the Giants. You look at Herbert, he is a one-cut runner, usually runs a lot of outside zone stuff, John. So that also means the guys on the edges, not just the interior linemen, but the guys on the edges, even corners and run support, become very important against a guy like this, who last year was a backup to Montgomery, but Montgomery now has an ankle injury.
Paul, he had a run for over 50 yards last week. He had 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery might not play, but Herbert really is not a downgrade at that position. Now, the Giants also want to do a better job rushing the passer, Paul. Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari made their season debuts last week. Brian Dable says now with their feet wet a little bit, they can do a little bit more moving forward.
Look, when they're out there and they're ready to play, they're ready to play. Every player, whether it's an outside linebacker, an inside linebacker, they have roles to do, how we want to play the game. I think those guys are 2 young, good players, and knowing that it is their first game, they've been out a little bit, and that happens with a lot of guys when they're coming off injury, getting back into the flow of things. But they're 2 good players, have a lot of confidence in those guys, and looking forward to seeing them play this week.
And, Paul, they should have an opportunity to rush the passer this week. Justin Fields holds the ball longer than any other quarterback in the NFL.
Well over 3 seconds a pop, John. So in that regard, it really should help those guys try to get home as they shake off the rust and oil their wheels. At the same time, the Bears run the ball 65% of the time, which is by far the most in the National Football League. So they don't really want to put Fields in precarious positions.
Yeah, he can also run, though, too. So you have to rush the passer, but you have to stop those lanes. We saw what Daniel Jones did to Dallas last week when they rushed the passer, left those lanes open. Justin Fields can do the same thing.
He certainly can. And if you're the Giants, the one thing that you want to do is make them play from behind the chains, and in fact, just make them play flat out from behind.
No question about it. He's Paul Dottino. I'm John Schmeelk. We'll see you next time.